Welcome to Anatomy 101. Like I said, do not worry. This is going to be super easy. I'm not going to dive really deeply into much of anything. It's going to be more of a general, broad overview. But I will share some interesting things that are going to help you to understand your body a lot more. But if you want also more information, you can read these kind of fun facts and stuff below. But for right now, we're going to dive into this, and hopefully I know that there's going to be some value here, and I promise that you'll have a better understanding of your body. By no means am I an absolute expert in anatomy and physiology. I don't have like a PhD or anything like that, but I did study exercise physiology, and I do have a very broad understanding of the human brain and the body and how it all works together. So that's the main thing, is going to be how all of these systems are going to be able to help you function and be a better human being. Let's go right here. Okay. First of all, there's all obviously like building blocks. You have to start at a very small anatomical level, that we are all made of molecules, and that's why biological chemistry is super important. I'm not going to dive into that, where protons, electrons, and neutrons, and kind of the space between is going to be important to remember for later trainings. Everybody has genetics, DNA, right? So in psychology, we talk a lot about nature versus nurture, which is basically what dictates behavior. Is it your genetic code, or is it the environment around you? So we'll talk about the role of genes and how those affect how you actually behave based on a lot of different things. And one thing that everybody knows about the human cell is, especially if you went to high school, right? The one thing that made sure everybody understood was the mitochondria is the what? I feel like Dora right now. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This is what is going to be converting a lot of what we consume into energy, which is ATP. So that's what it burns. Okay, it's what it helps create within this entire molecular structure. I also love learning about that, just because it helps us understand how much more of a miracle our body is. The main concept that I take away from anatomy is homeostasis is the goal for our physiology. Like, our body's entire goal is to remain in homeostasis, which means that you stay within parameters, like your body temperature, for example. You're always going to stay within a set parameter. If it gets too low, your body will heat up. If it gets too high, your body will cool down. Like, you'll sweat or you'll start to shiver, right? So if you hit those boundaries, your body has mechanisms to be able to get you back into the middle. The only situations that doesn't really happen is if the main example is when women go into child labor. They get a lot of progesterone, and that makes it so that they're able to continue contracting and go into labor, right? So there are states where your body knows, and it's really intuitive, really smart, that it will purposely go out of homeostasis. But yeah, it's kind of like a thermostat. You're set at a certain level for everything. Your kidney, your liver, your lungs, your heart. Everything has homeostatic bounds that it's going to fluctuate and try and stay between. And your healthy boundaries are going to be always within certain parameters. So that's all you need to know about homeostasis. The way that I look at the human body is, again, I love looking at things top down. It just helps me remember. And I'm going to share with you at the end of this training a really cool mnemonic device. Mnemonic just means a roadmap that you can use to be able to remember something. It's like an acronym. Like an acronym can help you remember things, but I'll show you a mnemonic at the end of the process of how you're able to remember all of the systems of your body and kind of their functions. So I love the nervous system. There's two different sides to the nervous system, right? There's the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Your central nervous system is your brain, and your spinal cord. And this is what operates everything. Everything flows through to the spinal cord, back up to your cerebellum, into your cerebrum, where you are going to be. That's how all thoughts, behaviors, and emotions come to you, is through that channel. Everything. So your central nervous system is vitally, vitally important. Your peripheral nervous system is all of your nerves that you can feel. So that's how you can feel things, all of your nerves and your somatary senses. The big point I want to get across with the nervous system is the difference between the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerves. This is vitally important to understand when you are studying the human body. And when you're trying to understand psychology and behavior and things that people are going to do, and when you're trying to get into shape, you need to understand how you can manipulate this. So the way that I remember this is parasympathetic is like a parachute. Parachute, parasympathetic. That's when your body is slowing down. Your heart rate slows, your breathing slows, your stomach starts to digest. It's also known as the rest and digest nervous system. And this is when you are really in your cerebellum. When your thinking mind is super activated is when you can relax. And that's why, again, meditation, mindfulness, and breathing is going to be really important to be able to get this parasympathetic nervous system activated. Now, on the other side is the sympathetic nervous system, which this is what's most commonly called the fight or flight response. Fight, flight, freeze. This is when you start sweating, your heart rate goes really high, your pupils get dilated so that you can see more, and you're basically scanning for danger. And your body cannot rest. Your body is on go, go, go attack mode, trying to survive. It's literally a survival technique. So the way that you can kind of manipulate this is when you are in your sympathetic nervous system, your adrenaline spikes, your testosterone spikes. So you get a lot of different hormones that are going to spike throughout your body, and you can manipulate that. So like when you're doing a sport or trying to exercise, you can manipulate your sympathetic nervous system through different types of breath work to be able to get better responses from whatever you're trying to achieve. The other thing with the nervous system is there's things called neurons. Neurons and neurotransmitters are the electrical communicators that go between synapses in your brain to be able to send messages and receive signals. So you can send and receive through neurons and neurotransmitters. In order for something to happen in the body, the nervous system has to activate it. Nothing happens without activation from the nervous system. And so that's where I look at this action potential, where this is where you kind of get into the chemistry that we're not going to go over. But that if you say, for example, you want to jump, if you don't think enough, like jump, the action potential, the action threshold is never going to happen. You're never going to actually jump. You have to send enough signals to the brain to actually jump. That's kind of a bad example because there's so many different processes, but that's a pretty generic example that you have to have enough thought process going towards something, and this is where energy is really important, that for an action potential to actually happen, and then it goes down and then it goes back. And you can also see homeostasis happening right along this line right there. Okay, so that's the basic understanding of the nervous system. The next one is your respiratory system. So as I kind of go down, I think brain, and the next thing, because your eyes are part of the nervous system, the next thing I think is going to be right to your nose. So your nose is start of the respiratory system. Your nose is how you are meant to breathe. Anatomically, physiologically, you are meant to breathe through your nose. It is healthier for you. It is better for you. You can kind of see from this dramatized example here that when you breathe through your nose, it structures your face differently. You feel so much better. You get way more oxygen. As you can see kind of the pathway right here, it all starts in the nose. The nose is going to be so much better. So if you have a problem with your nose, I know a lot of people are using nose strips right now. Those can be beneficial. So find ways that you can find an ability to breathe through your nose. It's cleaner, and you get way more quality oxygen because it filters everything. The reason that your respiratory system is so important is because it provides your body with oxygen. Duh. But why is oxygen important? Oxygen is what provides a certain amount of energy, and it gets into your bloodstream to be able to fuel your muscles and your organs. Without this exchange of gas, if you just had CO2, you would die, obviously. So transferring and putting oxygen into your blood platelets and your blood cells to be able to transfer all of the oxygen to your organs to make sure everything functions properly is obviously important. So breath work also helps you get into a desired state, whether you want to be parasympathetic or sympathetic. You can utilize breath work through manipulation of these chemicals. Okay. So that's it. If you want to get more about the respiratory system, go and study Breathe by James Nestor. Very, very good book about how breath affects the body. It's so cool. Okay. As I go down, nervous, respiratory, digestive. I get to my mouth. Now I'm where the process of eating foods and breaking down energy begins. Your digestive system is one of the largest systems of the body because your intestines are so big, and it does so much. It releases energy and everything into the bloodstream through breaking down of 3 different types of nutrients, which I'm going to dive into in our diet portion. But you have carbs, fats, and proteins. Those are the 3 things that our body can break down to be able to use for energy. Okay, the process of digestion happens throughout every step of the process. Your mouth begins to digest, your throat begins to digest it, your stomach acids start to digest with different enzymes, and then through either mechanical digestion, like the crushing and squeezing and moving of it through the intestines, or through the enzymes and chemical digestion. All of the food, most of your food, if it's nutriently dense, is going to be processed and stored as energy. Proteins are building blocks. This is what's going to structure amino acids and get into your muscles to be able to get stronger. Carbs are going to be fast energy. They're going to go directly to your liver and store as glycogen and glucose and go directly into ATP, which is what your mitochondria is going to help with, be able to provide a lot more energy throughout the entire body. Fats are much larger. They are harder to break down, so they're bigger, and they're going to typically be used for more long-term energy, and they'll be broken down eventually, or they'll be the first thing that's turned into stored fat, extra fat. Okay. So, like I said, guys, this is easy. This is so easy. You got this. Okay, so as I go from nervous, respiratory, digestive, that's all digestive right here. The next one I get to is cardiovascular. Okay, your cardiovascular system. This one has a special place in my heart. I didn't even mean to make a pun there, but this one has a very special place in my heart because I was born with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is a heart disorder that I have an extra aorta valve that causes me to basically I can have a heart attack at any time. I was born with it. My mom had to get an emergency C-section. It's a whole crazy story, But I always loved learning about the heart because I was always scared that I was going to die of a heart attack. I'm healthy now, and that's part of the reasons why fitness is so important to me. But the cardiovascular system is kind of runs alongside the nervous system, right? It goes throughout the entire body because it needs to send that oxygenated blood. Okay, so these are your lungs. These are your lungs right here. So the blood enters the heart deoxygenated. So that's your blood is actually blue. That's why you see your when you see your veins, a lot of times they're blue because that's the blood returning back to the heart. And then it goes to the heart, it receives oxygen because of your respiratory system breathing in, getting oxygen, and then it pumps it, or the heart pumps through the lungs first, and then you're able to get oxygenated blood, and that is sent throughout your entire body and wherever is needed. Your body is very intuitive. It'll go to your kidneys, your liver, or your legs, or if you're working out, all of the oxygenated blood will go to a specific portion of your body that is needed at that time. So manipulation through breath work, again, is going to be one of the most important things we can do to be able to manipulate it ourselves. Other than that, this is an automatic process that just happens within our bodies. The blood cells also do a lot of work for us as far as like connection to the immune system goes, with white blood cells and lymphocytes and everything that is going to be able to protect our body. So it provides a lot of energy and movement and the ability for organs to function because they need blood to function. And it also acts as defense from disease. So your cardiovascular system is awesome. Fun fact about the heart, it is the strongest muscle in your body. And think about it, it's literally just pumping, just 24/7, just pumping blood through your body. It's always moving, always going. Try and just squeeze your hand like this for an hour or even 10 minutes. Your forearm is going to be rock solid. So your heart, be thankful for your heart and how much work it is doing for you. Okay, we go nervous, respiratory, digestive, cardiovascular, and then the next system we're going to get to is, can you guess? You got this, Canva. Your reproductive system. Okay? And this is where, yes, it's crazy to say that this is controversial, but there are males and there are females. Two genders, and it is biological at how that works. So we're going to look at the reproductive system through the lens of the endocrine system. But the main thing here is the difference between female reproductive system and the male reproductive system is that the ovaries are made for childbearing and produce more estrogen, and the testes are made for seed and produce more testosterone. But everything else you can see is exactly the same. Okay, so the next system that we will be talking about, because there's no more systems going down, now we're going to go kind of whole body for this next one, because it's going to be tied to the reproductive system, which is your endocrine system. The endocrine system is essentially your hormones, and this is where feelings and emotions become very important, and understanding your emotions and feelings through the lens of, hey, I might be feeling this way because I lack some serotonin, or I might be feeling this way because I have too much dopamine. Like the understanding kind of how this works. So I'm going to click on this here. It has a clearer image of what there is on the right. Okay, these are some of the main hormones that you have in your body. Again, you don't have to memorize any of this, just a basic, like, just kind of understanding it. If you want to, totally, go study it. Like, it's super beneficial. Estrogen is mostly in females. This is what helps women through their ovulation cycle. Prolactin is for breastfeeding. You can see testosterone is essential for males and females for building muscle and having motivation. Okay, peptides are going to grow muscles, and the main things I want to focus on here is going to be serotonin and melatonin, growth hormone, and cortisol. These are all inversely correlated. So if your cortisol is really high, your growth hormone is really low. When your cortisol is really low, your growth hormone is really high. Okay, so they're inversely correlated. This is important to understand because your cortisol is your stress hormone. That's when you feel really stressed out and like you're out of control. Your growth hormone is what repairs and builds and rebuilds your body. It makes it so you're anabolic so that you're able to rebuild. So understanding the relationship between those two, that the less stressed out you can be, the better mindset you can have towards stress is going to be able to help you to increase how you're going to rebuild and repair and rest and recover. Serotonin is really important because that's your happy hormone. Serotonin and oxytocin are both very similar. They're your happy hormones where you get a reward for something that happens to you. This is really important to understand because what happens, where's dopamine here? Do I have dopamine? Yeah, well. What kind of goes hand in hand with serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine, they're all happy hormones, essentially. Well, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, but same difference. Okay. If you get too much of it, you are unmotivated. So too much of a good thing is a bad thing. There's an Indian chief. I like the story. There's an Indian chief. He was asked, "What is poison?" And the Indian chief says, "Poison is anything that we have too much of. It can be good, it can be bad, but you can have too much. Poison, too much poison can be that much poison. Too much water can be that much water, right? So everything can be poison based on how much we use it. So serotonin and oxytocin, too much of it can be a bad thing. Melatonin is going to be able to help you sleep, and insulin helps you digest. Adrenaline is part of the sympathetic nervous system where you go, go, go. You're able to fight or flight response, get that going. And I really, really like this kind of image here where you have the glands that are producing these different hormones. Okay. Again, if you want to study this further on your own, totally do that. I'm not going to take all the time from you today to be able to do that, but understanding kind of where these things come from, where you can feel that sensation, and where that energy is at is going to be vital for better understanding how to manipulate it in your favor. Right? The whole point is to be able to gain confidence, self-confidence in yourself, your identity, understanding like, I'm in control. Because how many times are we on our phones scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or watching YouTube videos, and we're getting continual or eating something, continual serotonin, it's always building, and we get addicted. Addiction comes from the emotion of that is caused through hormones. So understanding this and being able to think, no, this isn't me. This is just an emotion that I'm feeling because of my chemistry, my neurochemistry. So if you can understand that, it's going to be a lot easier to be able to overcome some difficulties and negative habits that you have in your life. Okay. That was the reproductive and endocrine system kind of put together. Now, the next way I look at it, since I can't go top down anymore, we already hit everything there, I kind of go by layers. So if I were to go and just stick a needle right here, what layers would I hit in what order? So the first layer is going to be your skin or your integumentary system. Your integumentary system is the largest organ of your body because it literally covers your entire body. And it actually has way more function than I ever thought that it would when I was first learning about this. It had so many cool functions and different things, but beyond the scope of this Anatomy 101, the main thing you need to know is that it is protection, right? Obviously, it's protection. It's a sensory function, so you can feel when something touches your skin. Thermoregulation is going to be temperature regulation. So again, homeostasis. We're going to stay within the same body temperature. Vitamin D synthesis. This is why it is so important to get outside. Go outside. Get some sunshine. Winter can be really hard. That's why a lot of people get depressed during the winter because they're not getting their vitamin D through their integumentary system or even through their eyes. So take advantage of summer as it's coming up and go crazy. Go get all of your vitamin D. Okay. What is the next layer that we're going to hit? Oh. All right, the next layer you hit, if you were to just go straight down, is your muscular system. I love the muscular system. This is what, if you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger or all of these crazy big bodybuilders, this is what we admire them for. Or athletes, we admire them for the ability to manipulate and control their muscles in certain ways that are enamoring to us, right? So there's four main functions of the muscle. Contractility is the ability to contract, okay, just come in. And then excitability is how fast it can contract. Excitability is like, boom, I can go really fast when I contract. Extensibility is now that I'm contracted, how, can I go all the way? And it's all the way stretched out, okay? And then elasticity is being able to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This is really important for your legs and running because your hamstring is firing and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay. I have a quiz question for you, and I wonder if you can get it right. If you watch this video, in the questions or in the DMs, DM me the answer, and I'll have a prize. I'll have a prize or something. Or you can answer it in the question section in the community. Do muscles push, pull, or both? All right, not going to give you the answer. But do they push, pull, or both? Okay. This is the structure of a muscle. We're going to talk more about tendons when we get to the skeletal system here in a second. But this is the structure of the muscle. As you can see, it's basically... I didn't plan on this, but it's kind of like, if this is your muscle, this is like one of those bundles, right? It's a bunch of cables or bundles all put together, okay? So what happens when you exercise is, let's say this is your muscle, okay? What happens when you exercise, they're expanding, contracting, okay? When you exercise, they rip, they tear apart. You think, oh my gosh, that's a bad thing. No, because stress is actually good for you if you view it in the right sense. So if you think that you're building muscle and it's positive for you, because then what happens is, to repair itself, it adds extra muscle fibers, it adds extra strength, gets more cables in there, and boom, now your muscle is bigger. Okay, if you break it down again, it adds more, and then it becomes even stronger. Okay, and you can do this multiple times until it becomes really strong, and it's really it's contractible, it's excitable, it's extensible, and it's elastic, so you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you can do a lot with your muscles. The muscular system is really, really cool. I wish I could go through every single muscle and their function and how awesome it is, but that's, again, beyond the scope here. Another really cool thing is that within the muscle, so when you go super deep, so you get all the way into here, you're in the myofibril, and within the myofibril, this little section here, the actin and myosin, is what this picture is showing here, okay? You have these little heads that are going to be grabbing at the actin, and they're going to be pulling and pulling and pulling and releasing. So that's how your muscle is able to contract. And this all happens, and it starts with, guess, your nervous system, your brain, your mind. So this is your neuromuscular junction, okay? We have a nerve, essentially, and this whole section right here is going to be the process that has to happen before any muscle moves. Just think about how fast your body is moving. When you think stand up and you just stand up, or you think close my hand, how quickly this process happens to get so the signal has to be sent from your hand all the way to your brain, and then it has to go through that process right there, and then it has to go from your brain all the way back to your hand, and then the actin and the myosin have to pull on each other, and the entire muscle has to contract all together. It is so crazy. It is so cool how your muscles are actually able to contract and be able to get do what you want them to do, and they obey your commands. So I just think that's a miracle in and of itself, and it's super, super fascinating. Canva, the slides are going kind of slow, but that's okay. After the muscle, you get down to your skeletal system. Your skeletal system is literally just the frame of your body. But it's more than just that. It actually has a lot of cool functions. So we'll go over these functions really quick. So it protects, and it's the structure of your body. But inside of the muscle, it stores and releases fat and other minerals and resources that go into your bloodstream, that go into your muscles, that go into your organs. So you can see how every system of the body kind of like functions and works together all simultaneously to be able to create you and what you are. And then it's not even the full complexity of like the human brain and, again, your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So this is just the makeup of what your body is, and what a blessing that it is for it to be able to produce and do everything here, okay? And this is kind of the structure of what most what your joints do look like. Is you have your tendon, which attaches to the muscle and also attaches to the bone, and then the ligament is just what attaches to the bone. And these can all be repaired and restored when you understand your endocrine system, when you understand your parasympathetic nervous system. When you can rest and digest is when you're going to be able to recover, and you can rebuild literally everything. This right here is what is going to be showing us your bone density, which is really important. As you get older, you experience osteoporosis. It's especially found in women that experience menopause because they stop producing calcium, and their estrogen levels kind of go down. So their bones become more brittle, and thus they break more easily. As you get older, they kind of start to become more brittle, but you can counteract this. If you're scared about breaking your bones and like getting hurt, the best way that you can strengthen them is actually by, number one, breaking them down, and then two, recovering properly. Not to break them, but like going through weight-bearing exercise. So increasing resistance against your body through heavy squats, heavy bench, heavy lifting, like lift heavy things and put it over your head and like do functional training. And it's we're gonna go over the exercise portion here on day 5 or something. But going through and strengthening this, and it's going to have positive correlation to every single system of the body. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to dive into nutrition, sleep, exercise, and your mindset and your relationships, because it just all ends up tying together. I get really, really excited about these things. So I hope that you're excited as I am, to be able to dive into all of this wonderful, amazing information. The last thing here is going to be the immune system. Okay, so this is, once you get to the skeletal system, then we kind of have to go broad and generalized again. And your immune system, your lymphatic system runs, again, along your circulatory system, your cardiovascular system, and your nervous system. Okay, your peripheral nervous system specifically. But you can see here how it kind of attaches, and it's going to go into your bloodstream. This is what produces a lot of like white blood cells and T cells, a bunch of different things are going to be able to help fight off disease. But yeah, the healthier you are, the stronger your lymphatic system. The more you exercise, the stronger your muscles, the better your cardiovascular system, which is going to in turn increase the circulation of your lymph nodes. So exercise is going to be so important for increasing and improving every single system in your body. The last thing here is going to be the mnemonic device. Now remember, mnemonic is just a memory technique. It's just a way to be able to take things from your short-term memory and store them in your long-term memory. So I kind of hope that you can get a laugh out of this one, actually. Okay. So the mnemonic here is nerd-creamsel, or you can think nerds cream slow. Nerd cream slow. When you think nerd-creamsel is the mnemonic. What it is you start at your nervous system, nervous, respiratory, digestive, cardiovascular, reproductive, slash endocrine, okay, slash endocrines, and then you go into integumentary, muscular, and then skeletal, and then lymphatic. So then it goes back through everything. So nerd cream slow is the top down process, to be able to remember all of the systems of your body and just become more aware of it. And that's all that you need to do. Oh my goodness, congratulations. You made it through Anatomy 101. There's obviously so much more to the human body, so many amazing things that we didn't dive into. But as far as like understanding how to become mind fit, this is the base level of knowledge that is going to be important for you to know how energy and psychology and why working out is so important, and how to increase your performance levels through utilizing your own anatomy, through leveraging it, is going to be extremely vitally important, because that is how high-performing athletes do it. That is how psychologists do it. Understanding your own biology. Again, you are the sum total of your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. So if you can control those, you can control your life. Thank you so much. God bless. And I will see you in the community. Go and share something of value. If you already are an expert in anatomy, go and just share something of value, some fun facts, something cool. Or go share something that you learned today that you're going to apply into your own life. Or ask a question. You can do all three, but just do one of them. And we're here to all help each other, and we're all here to grow. So thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow.